So last night, I played in the remote tool YCS, and I bubbled top 32. Now, it's not a top 32 deck profile. It does feel really bad. The event ran a lot longer than everyone thought it was going to, and I ended up losing in either the last or the second to last round to something I couldn't control. Actually, if I'm being honest with you, all three of my losses were the things I couldn't control. I was misplaying throughout the day, but funnily enough, the games I was misplaying, I was winning. Don't know how I got there, but yeah, here's the deck. I worked very hard on this list. If you've been watching this channel, you've been seeing I've been playing Yubel for a while, and I'm going to make this a very big analysis of the deck. Expect this deck profile to be a little bit longer. In it, I'm going to show you the deck. I'm going to talk through the theory of why I play all the cards, run through what all the cards do, and at the end, give you my tournament report. So yeah, let's hop right into the list. This is going to be a lot longer than usual because I'm just going to sit down and explain everything. Triple Lotus, triple Dark Beckoning Beast, and one Gruesome Grave Squirmer. So the reason I'm showing these three together is that these are your two starters. It's very funny because Samsardi Lotus does everything. Dark Beckoning Beast technically does everything, but it doesn't do it without getting into the Fiendsmith engine. So I kind of count this as like a half starter, because if it resolves, you can do so much. Like you can literally do everything in the game. But the issue is that you're so much more susceptible to interaction. I actually kind of like opening this card with Throne a little bit more, though. Because if you Lotus, well, let's say you go Throne for Lotus, Norm Summon Lotus, and then they Ash you, you sometimes just lose the game and you pass there. But there's a lot more times where if you opening up like Throne plus Beckoning Beast, you can go Normal Summon Beckoning Beast, try to bait out the Ash, and then if they don't have Ash Imperm, you activate Throne, and then you destroy Yubel. Or you can do it in the opposite, where you go Throne, destroy Spirit of Yubel, summon out Yubel, and then you normal summon Dark Beckoning Beast. And then if they don't Imperm you there, you can activate Circle, and then Circle can grab you back into Engine. So that's really broken, right? Because then you don't have to use the thing for the search. You just get a free body, and then they can't really hand trap you anywhere else. So yeah, this card, they're both insane, right? But usually when I side, I usually go down to 2 of this. People like to say you shouldn't, side out Engine, but this really isn't Engine. This is more of just like another normal summon you have in your deck. This is your Engine. You never touch this. And I play 1 Gruesome Grave Squirmer. Just because I see a lot of people playing 2. You don't need 2. A lot of people say that this card gets Bish Shield. I don't know where that's happening to you. That has never happened to me once while playing this deck. The second one also just never comes up because when it does, people like to say it's not bad to open, but I'd rather open non-engine. So there are my starters. And then let's just show here the Yubels. You play Double Spirit, 1 Yubel, 1 Terra Incarnate. I've seen a lot of people thinking that you can banish this. I'll be real with you. If you Bishsteel my Yubel, the Bishsteel just didn't do anything. That happened to me a lot throughout the event in the last couple case events I played. Terra Incarnate's really good for game 1 when you're able to try to play through a lot. But post game 1, like when you're in game 2 and 3, this usually becomes a side card. Because you can basically do the entire combo. Well, you can do the entire combo with just these cards. And you don't have to break on this card as much. I saw this card in my opening hand so much today. But yeah, just having cards in your main deck that are really good game 1 as like extenders or just random bodies that you can then turn into side cards later are very, very nice. I know a lot of people who like to keep this card in, and I don't think that's entirely wrong. But I do think it's okay to look at this card because, again, it's not Engine. This card is just like another like random, like technically extender. It's a body you can go into. There were a couple times today and throughout the last couple weekends where I wish I didn't side this out. But the amount of times where that came up where this card was just another card I sided in, and that sided card was Silver Bullet that won me the game, I think is so much better. Oh, Spirit of Yubel popping is not once per turn, by the way. So many people try to call me on that. If you play this deck, of course you know that. But doesn't miss timing. The Battle Fader effect is really good. This is a custom card. This card is insane. And that is all on my Yubel monsters. Now I'm going to go into the secondary engine, which I'm going to go to bat for. I play the Kashtira package. So these are very, very good because when you go first, you can special summon it, and then you can start playing. So if they try to hand trap you, you can now know what they're on, which is very, very good. Against Tenpai, let's say they make you go first. If they shifter you, and you see any way to this card, they basically can't really kill you. And if they try to hand trap you more while it's happening, you can just rip their Biden Dragons. And if you end on Unicorn plus like another interaction, and they have no Biden Dragons, they actually can't really do anything. That's a win con I've been doing a lot. So yeah, I don't really regret playing these. There were a couple times I wish these were anything else. And when I look back at my report, I am only really wondering what my event would have been if I would have just played pure Yubel instead of the cash cards. But I don't know. Like, the math doesn't really change out. So I am playing 50, but I was able to change the math on seeing my hand traps and playing more and playing more engine cards as well, which I'll show you in the profile. So I think these cards in my deck were very useful, very consequential. When I played against Tenpai, they did come up. Just being able to play through Shifter. When I went into this event, I expected there to be a lot more Fire King Snake Eyes and a lot more Tenpai. Little did I know, those were all going to be what I played. So at the end of the day, I'm a little torn about these. I don't know if I'll play them in the future, but I am very glad I played them for this event. And I think for the call I was making, these were correct. I'll get into what I played for these later. I have an engine requirement for it. Then I play the Fiendsmith package of triple Engraver, 1 Lacrima, and 1 Lurie. I see a lot of people cutting this down to 2. The reason why I play 3 of it is because when I see it in my opening hand, it just is so broken. And I'm playing 50. So since I'm playing 50, I needed to up more on my engine cards so that I don't not see them, right? It helps fix the math. And what makes it really good is that I'm playing a lot of cards in my deck I just don't want to see. Like, if you look through, like, I'm playing the Yubels. So I'm playing, like, technically 4 bricks. So why would I play 40 if I'm playing 4 bricks, right? And there's a couple more, like, soft bricks, too. Like, you don't really want to open up a Lurie or Lacrima. But you do want to see Engraver. So it's weird positions. Like, sometimes it's nice to see Lurie, because if you have Circle, you can pitch this off of it to grab back a guy, and then Lurie can come back. That's a play that comes up a lot. Lacrima normal summon can also play through so much. But yeah, I don't regret playing this package. This is honestly the best package in my deck. And I wouldn't really change that. There's a couple times, I don't know how often it came up, but I thought about it, where I special summoned a cash card, try to get the interaction out with it, and then I could tribute summon for Engraver. Never came up, but it's something you can do. And then I wanted to just keep these 2 cards together. This is the Unchained package. This is the most broken card in the deck. It helps you dodge so much interaction. There's a play you can do where if you open up the Fiendsmith package plus an extender, you can usually Dark Beckoning Beast as your normal summon. You can go into Yama early, grab Shavara, and then when you go into sequence, they're going to try to imperm to sequence when you use its effect. And you can just Shavara pop it, so then it still resolves. And let's say you make, of course you're down a link 2, so 2 bodies are now gone. But you can now just attach it to the Desiree. Or you can make the level 6 that dumps. So like, it never really mattered to begin with, like you were just going to combo them. So it just insulates you from more hand traps. I played Escape over Chamber, mostly because I wanted another interaction against the Fire King deck. I see a lot of people on Chamber. I don't think Chamber's incorrect, but with like how I play the deck and how I align my combos, it just never comes up. There's never really an instance where I wish I had Chamber over Escape, because the interaction I have with Escape is just better. That's at least how I see it, and it's a free side out for when I go second. That is all the usable monsters until I get into the hand traps. Now, I'm playing triple Droll, triple Ash, triple Ogre, double Bestial, triple Imperm. Now here we're playing 9, 12, 14 hand traps. So there's 14 hand traps in main. And I think that was the right call. It gives me about a 50% chance to draw 2 when I'm going first. So let's say I'm trying to full combo. That's the one thing that makes Yubel really good, is that you can just make a board that is so ignorant off of one card, and then you still play a bunch of hand traps. If I were to re-look at what I'm playing, though, first of all, let me explain to you why I'm playing these cards, and then it'll make a lot more sense as to what I would change and what I would keep. Joel Lockford was in here because I expected there to be a lot of Fire King players who do not respect the card. Because there's a lot of times a Fire King just cannot respect Joel, and it blanks their hand. And that happened a lot today, and I'm very glad I played this. Ash Blossom, basically this is in here because it's the most catch-all hand trap, but it's also really good against Tenpai. So I'm going to throw this here as well. Like it can do the most versatile. You also can't play Impulse, and Impulse in my opinion is the best hand trap right now, but I can't play it in this deck. So I'm gonna probably rethink what my deck choice is after this, but I still think Yubel is good, and since I'm playing Yubel, I can't really double think that. Next is Ghost Ogre. So Ghost Ogre is very good because Ghost Ogre can hit the Azamina package, which I expected to see a lot today. And then it also can just get rid of bodies. It's a breaker. It's not a bad card. I think this card does like a lot of really niche good things at the moment. A lot of people like to say it's for Fire King Island. I'm gonna be real with you. For the first time in months, I saw someone just blank activate Fire King Island. I have no clue how they could do that, but you know what? It is what it is. It happens sometimes. I will also say I did not see this card at all today. It just never happened. It never came up. Oh, I saw it once against Tenpai when they shifted me, so it didn't really matter. Imperm is also very good. Imperm allows you to just like blank something. It's good first and second. There's really no reason to describe this card. It's blank. And then the Bishields were a weird case because Bishields didn't actually have any applications into the 2 decks that I was talking about, right? Like you can use it against snakes by hitting the IP. You can use it against Fiendsmith by hitting their engraver or whatever one they're bringing out. So these are mostly in here for the niche cases, and they're also really good because they're bodies that like they have to out. Like if you resolve Magma, you now have Druid Swarm, and if you summon Druid Swarm, they now have to out the Druid Swarm, or you can use it as disruption. Or the other really broken thing is that if you just open Druid Swarm, it's Druid Swarm. So Magma is just another copy of Druid Swarm, is what I'm basically getting at. This card's really good. There were a couple times where I wish these were anything else, and I was siding against Fire King. I'm like, do I really do this? But of course, I'll show you my side deck as well, and side deck makes a lot more sense with my main. It's very, very good for hitting IP and hitting your lose cons. And if I'm building my deck to not lose to what I usually lose to, then I think that's fine. Especially this, because if they set up a half board, I just cook them every time. Spoiler alert, as I look through here, I do not play Mulch Harmies at all in my deck. I think that's one kind of oversight I have, where my first round opponent main decked Bird, and he hit me with Bird. And that meant I couldn't bird him back. I do main Droll, I main Ash, and I do main Cold Buy, so I have outs to it. I just didn't see them, which sucks, but it is what it is. In testing, the Bird and the Jelly... Well, the Bird actually was not as good as I thought it was, because in the matchups I was testing for, another one being Centurion, which Ghost Ogre and Imperm are really good against, it just was not happening. It's just everyone was playing outs to it, which I don't think is the best argument, but it's very good to think of like when I was playing and I was seeing the games I was winning and I was losing. The games I was losing, I wasn't doing better because of Bird. And there was only one time all of today, or yesterday when I played actually, that I wish I had Bird, and it was when I saw an all-engine hand going second into Snake. So I'm like, man, I wish one of these was Bird. I just don't think the card is absolutely needed. It's not me saying that I don't think the card is fantastic. but it's mostly like, hey, like I don't think it's a needed card. Well, what do I know? I didn't top 32, but in the matchups that I played, it wouldn't have helped. So even if I played Bird in this list, I would not have topped, which I think is a very good thing to think about. And I honestly think main deck Droll was insane. For into the spells. Triple Nightmare Throne. Actually, before I get into those, Nightmare Throne is insane. For the math, I wanted to max out on it, so I'm playing Set Rotation and Terraforming just to get into it. And because I'm on the cash package, and this is what makes the cash package really good, is that it allows me to play Set Rotation, so I can't get impermed. Nightmare Throne is also just a really good card, and Set Rotation is also an interrupt against Fire King and against Tenpai, because it outs their field spells. Nightmare Throne is also just an insane card. Like, if you just have any way to get to this, you basically win the game. Planet Rasoth is also just really good to have, because let's say you already have Throne and you have Terraforming, you can just search for Rasoth, and then now you're into your cash package. And it means that you're playing... This is why the math really works out. 5 is a very special number when it comes to deck building. I can get into that more later if you guys need me to, but you basically want to max out as many 5s as you can see. That's why you see a lot of people play 5 normal summons. That's a lot of reasons why you see people play like 5 field spells. I'm playing 5 unicorns because I'm playing triple unicorn, 1 terraforming, 1 planet. Technically Set Rotation. So I'm technically playing more than 5 actually, the more I'm thinking about it, which is insane, meaning I can basically always get to it. This was insane. I don't think I would change this. Maybe if I like cut the cash package, but like if I cut the cash package, I'm technically down another copy of Nightmare Throne. This is something I definitely need to rethink. But it was fantastic all day. And then on to the one-ofs. Opening of Spirit Gates, Nightmare Pain, Tract, Birth. These are all the engine requirements. Some people play 2 of this card. It's fine. Like, I don't think it's a very good argument to say that you can always recycle it with opening. But if you're in a position where you already have a board and they're trying to out Nightmare Pain, you're basically in a good position. Tract is very nice. You don't need to play 2 of it. I don't think maxing out on it is as important. Birth for the cash package is always an interrupt. It's an extender. This card is really good in specific matchups. And then opening of the Spirit Gates, if you have a way, this is what makes Dark Beckoning Beast good. Dark Beckoning Beast, I don't think is the best, but I think this card is insane. There was a game where I opened all 3 of these, plus like a hand trap or something, but I was able to break an entire Fire King board with just these cards, which is insane. That shouldn't have happened, but the fact I could see the engine requirement and not the actual cards to get to it and be able to combo through it is very nice, because this is also technically a brick. Because say you go for opening of the Spirit Gates, you search Dark Beckoning Beast. Dark Beckoning Beast cannot activate to search anything. Also, a very important thing to say, you can set this off Droll, but you can't activate opening of the Spirit Gates under Droll because this card is mandatory. Also, the fuse effect of this card did not come up today. There were a couple of times where it did. If you didn't know that this card can also fuse, it just didn't come up. There were a couple events where I was like using this for like, the fuse effect, but nah, it didn't come up. And then the Saki cards, 1-for-1 is Engine, Call by the Grave is insane, and then Triple Tack Talents. Oh my god, the amount of times I saw these 3 cards together were insane. But, you know, these are all too broken not to play. There's an argument that this could have been another hand trap, but I think having just like insulation is very nice. Here's also another thing about Bird I was thinking about, and I'll probably go into this when I go over my report. I think it's fine to activate Bird when you're flying into, or Jellyfish, as they're making a board. Because Triple Tack Talents, like you just drew like 2-3 cards. There's like no really correct place for them to hit you with this card. I can get into that later. That's probably something that people might disagree with me with, but I think like that's fine. That's the main deck. That's 50 cards. Hopefully I explained the main deck enough in 20 minutes. But now let's go into the extra deck. Double Phantom of Yubel. There were a couple times during the last couple weeks I wish I had the third. Today or yesterday, I don't think the third came up at all. I was able to always put it back. This card's insane. Also being able to pop this under while Throne is up so that you can get back into your engine is very, very funny. That's just funny. Then let's get into Fiendsmith package. I think this is all you need to play. Sometimes you can use the Moon of the Closed Heaven effect to like try to like bait stuff out. That came up a lot in testing, but that is what it is. People try to imprime sequence. Again, is what it is. These are also something that makes like the cash cards really good because like the amount of times you can like cash to your unicorn, rip Requiem, and sequence is very nice. But yeah, I think this is like the minimum that you can run, and I think it's fine. Aerial Leader was the MVP all day. The amount of times this got me into Engine or helped me get into Caesar. I Caesared a lot more today than I ever have in the last couple weeks at the case events, and I thought it was fine. Just the Caesar board, especially the open trap, is very, very good. Or you get the trap earlier, because like one way that you can play around Molt Army Jellyfish is that you can pitch the Shavara off of circles or off of what's the other one? Actually, I'll pull it out now. Off of Muckraker. This card's also insane. But there is like a way that you can get into Engine off of just Aerial Leader into Muckraker. Which, if you don't know that combo, it's very, very nice. Basically, what you do is that you Aerial Leader dump what you need, and then you go into Aerial Leader and sequence into Muckraker. Muckraker, discard whatever you have in your hand to get to it. Sometimes it can be Shavara, and when you discard Shavara, you then get the trap. And you can use Yama, bring back a 6, and then go into Caesar. It's very, very nice. The Unchained package. These are what make the deck broken. Double Yama, I don't think I will ever change. Having 2, I think, is what allowed me to grind so much against other decks. They're also really good when you play against... I mean, when you're playing against Fire King, you kind of need it to, because it's so that you don't, like, blow your load. If you just use the 1 Yama, then you use it on your turn, and then when they're breaking your board, you can't Yama bring back another card. It's very, very good. It's very, very nice. There were times I used Yama as an extender to get myself into combo, where I had Lacrima, so then I Shavara, popped my Lacrima, and then I used Yama to bring back Lacrima, and I was able to go into combo. It was very, very good. And then I'm playing Blue Dog. Spoiler alert, I don't play the other Red Dog. I don't think they're needed, because the issue is that this deck kind of struggles to kill through a board anyway. Well, kill without a board. And if they have a board, they're kind of dead anyway because of the Yubel, so I don't think the card is needed. I think they're very cool. It's not me saying I don't think the card is good. I just don't think it's personally needed, because I do think it's very, very good. And then for the miscellaneous cards, SP, so you get like 4 interrupts off the Unchained combo. And because it's SP Little Knight. DDD, Wave High King Caesar. I thought this card was like the flex spot. It's really not. You kind of need this card for Tenpai and a bunch of other matchups. I think it's very good. Underworld Goddess is... So I thought this card was going to come up a lot more than it did. I wanted to play this so that if I played in the mirror, if I played against any other combo deck, I can just like use the Kashtira cards as bodies, eat up everything, and then turn Goddess into sequence and go off. That never came up. This probably could have been something else. I don't know what. I haven't tested much. There were a couple times I wish I had a Lars, but I don't think Lars is the answer. I'm thinking maybe another TC Boo out, because the issue this deck has, and this happened to me like around 5 or 6, I full comboed set DDG with Thrust. Spoiler alert, that's in the list. And I almost lost because they just flipped up TC Boo and it outed my whole board. And I only could half board. I couldn't go into Varudris everything. So that sucked. So yeah, this probably could have been something else. This card is nuts. If you end on this card, you basically win the game. I don't know how you can lose when you have this card. It has 3 broken effects. One is a negate that negates activation, and then this card will detach as another one to pop. If it has XYZ material and it attacks and non-targeting pops during damage step, and then if this card is destroyed when it was XYZ summoned, so if it's booked and popped, it doesn't get an effect. But then if it's just popped, it does. It pops the card. You know, the secret effect of this just came up all day. 15. Now let's get into the side. This is where it kind of gets a little controversial, and I'm going to talk to you guys about like my siding opinions here. There's one card that like my friends are flaming me for, but I swear it makes sense. Triple Nibiru and double effect Veiler. So I think this was correct. Now the reason why is that when I'm playing into a combo deck like Snakes, I want to be able to hand trap them more. And I couldn't afford to throw this card in my main deck. 1, because of the math, and 2, because I would rather play the triple attack talents. That's basically what I played it in for. So what I did, in theory, was I was taking out the triple attack talents for 2 Veiler, and I was taking out a Unicorn, I took out a Trap, a Terror Incarnate, and a Dark Beckoning Beast, or a Unicorn, and I threw in the Nibs. But then sometimes I would just take out the Unicorn instead, because then the thought pattern was, I'm playing Nib and Bestials into the deck. Bestials were also a weird thing to keep in for Fire King, but the reason why you do it is so that you can keep them off of the, what's the card called? You keep them off of Masquerena, and sometimes they're on just the Snake variant. You can't really tell from game 1 sometimes what they're on. I know that sounds weird, but there's a lot of times I just combo off with the Snake cards, and they don't always go into the Fire King cards, especially when you just hand trapped into death with like Droll. So you keep in the Bestials just in case, because then if they start using the Fiendsmith cards, you can cut them off of the Desiree or the Caesar. These felt good. These felt correct. I don't think I changed them. I was thinking, actually, I lied. This could have been Crow with all the Fire King, but I still feel like this did its job. I think is a better way to put it. What I don't think was correct, and this is going to sound weird, is I'm on triple Cosmic Cyclone. Now, with my side patterns, how I described, I actually had more cards I could take out for Fire King. I don't think it's correct to throw Cosmic Cyclone in against Fire King. But I think where the difference is that this hits Floods, and it also hits Island. I don't think hitting Island is like the best argument, right? Where some people are like, oh, if you just like pop it, it pops their whole board. I'm like, yeah, but they have so many layered interactions through that they can just keep going more and more. So I just side out 2 cards, go for 2. So I think technically this is probably the better ratio, which I know is weird because like you want to max out on it. But I just could not find in my siding pattern for that matchup how to make this 3. Especially when I went into other decks, it was very hard for me to try to make it into 3, and I should have thought that out more. So yeah. Double Metatronus. When you play against Tenpai and they hit you with the Kokemir Drago, you can use Metatronus. Target their Drago, which is 0/0 because it was summoned off of spheres. And you can summon Droll and Lockbird. So, let me repeat that. Its stats, because it says target 1 face-up non-token a monster your opponent controls. Thus summon 1 monster from your hand, deck, or extra deck that has 2 or more of the same type, original, attribute, and or attack. So, the Drago is 0/0. Droll stats are 0/0. Just to make sure I'm not lying, 0/0. And it's a wind, and Mirror Drago is a wind. So, if you're struggling with that, this card helps out it. This probably could have been a 3 of. This was very, very good. It's just nuts. Their effects are now negated, and now they can combo. It doesn't come up for anything else, but it's a Tenpai out. Speaking of 10 outs, this was the best side of my deck. It's triple talents thrust, or triple tactics thrust, D-barrier, and dim ground. You just don't shotgun dim ground, because sometimes like you need your graveyard even when you're breaking the board because of how your board is set up. But you can always grab Yubel from the banishment anyway. D-barrier beats Tenpai. They're going to hand trap you a lot. The thing that made me think about these cards was that people were just going to Mole Charming me all day. So you can triple talents thrust into it. This is the only argument I have against what I said earlier with the Mole Charmies. But I think it's really good to just like wait till your opponent plays with Proof of Loss, because game one they're not on us unless they're on Mimigul. And if you're getting cooked by Mimigul, I was almost cooked by Mimigul, by the way. That deck is great. Well, the guy who played against me was nuts. But card's nuts. That's all I gotta say. I don't play around a Mimigul player. If you know they're on Mimigul, do it, but like no one's maining this card. And this was insane. I would not change this. If you guys need me to describe this more in the comments, I will. But yeah, it's insane. Other than the Cosmics, possibly one of the Cosmics being possibly Metaltronus or another card to set off a Thrust or a Floodgate, I think that was fine. And that is the list. I am now going to go into a tournament breakdown. So I'm going to change up the scenery a little bit. Thank you guys so much for watching, at least this portion. Before I go into it, shout out to everyone who helped me test the deck, especially, and people who let me borrow cards, and Team Pie for Life for cheering me on the entire time, everyone from the Northeast Ohio area. But specifically shout outs to people like Marcus and Marcus and my good friend Matt, who, if this was not his favorite deck, I wouldn't have ever picked it up. So, yeah, let's go right into the tournament report. All right, so for anyone who stayed to this part of the video, hey, how you doing? This is going to be a more chill vibe, and I'm just going to talk through my rounds of the event, and yeah, just talk about where I think my deck was really good, where I think I messed up, and being honest with my losses and seeing, was there even a possibility I could have won this event or topped this event? Because sometimes the way you have to look at it is that even if you're playing to your absolute best of your ability, there are going to be losses you will have, and you're not going to top everything, right? So with that outlook now, I think let's just get into the rest of the profile and the tournament report. So I played against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Snake Eye decks. They were really good. I ended up being X2 against them. I'll explain more why into this discussion, but I feel like my deck was still teched out very well for it. I feel like my losses into it were very not always my control. My round one was the guy who got first after Swiss. Congratulations to him. He was really good. Apparently he's been playing a lot online. I could tell he was very clean. So I actually, I lost this 1-2. I won the die roll. Game one, I normal summoned Lotus and I used effect. I'm pretty sure the way my hand was is it was a Lotus plus Engraver, or it was Throne plus Engraver or something like that. I don't think there was a way I could have played around Bird, especially with knowing what his hand was after. I don't think there was a way I could have played through that without it being Bird. I think my hand was just all gas, and I don't think there was a way I could have done that. Because usually what happens when you're playing Yubel is that when you go into Bird, you want to just immediately just beeline into, am I going to go for Phantom, or am I going to go into the Yubel line? I ended on both the Phantom and the Yubel line because I gave him too many draws off of the one, so I ended on giving him 4 draws, which sucks. But it was 4 draws against, though, 5 interruptions. So I think that was fine, but you had to gas. I couldn't be upset there. Game 2, I just full comboed. That's kind of the Yubel thing. If Yubel can do the full board, there's no way you lose. So that's one of the reasons why I took this deck to the event, because I can play the Fire King deck. I could do all that, but I felt more comfortable with Yubel because I knew if I ended on the full board, there was no way I was losing that game. And I felt like I could play through enough hand traps in the hand trap war. Game 3, this is where I do think I messed up. I didn't realize how close to time we were, and I started in Cosmic Cyclone. So I was able to do damage to him. I was only able to do like 800 though, and I paid the 1,000 for Cosmic. However, he had... his deck list was insane. So he was playing Trap Trick, and he Trap Tricked into DDG, but he also had Dim Barrier. I don't think Dim Barrier is that good into this deck. I had this conversation with my buddy for a while, because he's been doing really well with the deck as well. And he thinks that D-Barrier is pretty good into my deck. But I kind of think the opposite, because there's ways that you can just do everything without fusion summoning, right? Like, the only way it really beats you is if you have no way in the engine and a D-Barrier called Fusion. So then when you go into the Fiendsmith package, you can't really do anything to get into that. But then you still play the Yubel cards. So, like, you can play the Yubel, you can still play the Fiendsmith cards as extenders into, like, the rank 6. So then you can go into, like, at least still Varudris and Caesar and any way to just cook through stuff. So that's why I don't think that's that good against this deck. So if you're thinking in the future, man, I should really D-Barrier this Yubel player, just think that they're still a Link deck. Like, they're still going to do things. D-Barrier is not as big of a kill sentence as you think it is. But when I look into that, though, I just don't think there was a way I could have won that just through full combo DDG. Or full combo D-Barrier DDG. But I don't think the D-Barrier was that consequential. So that was my round 1. I'm 0-1 going into this next match. I play against Mimigul. I won 2-1. I won in time, which, like, always feels bad. Like, I was genuinely comboing and we went into time game 3, and I kind of feel bad about that. But we took it. Game 1, he full boarded me. I didn't have anything that could play through it. The Mimigul full board is kind of crazy. He was playing the Fiendsmith cards. I think he also bubbled this event. But that deck was crazy. I kind of want to try that today at locals. Game 2, I had full board. No, I full comboed him through Jellyfish, and the draws he had were just inconsequential. And then game 3, of course, I won in time. He was a really cool guy. We were able to just joke around. One thing I will say about remote duels is they seem to take a little bit longer. They give you 15 minutes in a round as opposed to 45. And one other thing, too, is that I think this is kind of where it bit him in the end, other than, like, me just genuinely comboing in time. Like, I feel bad about that. It wasn't what my intention was. But I feel like if he didn't try to break my board game 2, we wouldn't have been in that position to begin with. And that's something I've noticed a lot, is that people will try to break the full Yubel board even though they can't. Where it's like, it's still a game. Like, you still want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But I feel like when you're playing it at a competitive level, when you're trying to top, there are times where you have to strategically scoop. And I feel like if he would have done that, he would have won the set. So that's at least my opinion on that. He was still great. He was still a fantastic guy, fantastic duelist. I just said fantastic duelist. No. Round 3 was Fire King Snake Eyes. I lost the die roll, but I won 2-1. Game 1, I didn't open the best, and he went into Zombie Vampire, and as soon as he attempted the effect, I just scooped. I didn't want him to know what I was on. Game 2, full board plus thrust. If you just get to thrust in general, you just kind of win. And then game 3, this is kind of the issue why I didn't play Fire King Snakes. He bricked on the Fire King cards. And then my hand was crazy, right? Like, my hand was playing through a lot. So I was just able to just cook. So, yeah, another win. Round 4 was Fire King Snake Eyes. I won the roll, got it 2-0. Game 1, that's the thing about me winning the die roll against Fire King Snakes to begin with. If you can just win the roll in this full combo, they are not doing anything. They are not breaking your board. Unless they're on, like, some crazy main deck tech cards with, like, Lava Golem or like multiple breakers that you can't play through, which doesn't really come up, or they hand trap you like 4 or 5 times, like 3-4 times. You're making a full board through everything. So yeah, game 1, he just couldn't break my board, and then game 2, I drolled him. Droll was fantastic. If there is one card I think was the MVP of the day, it was definitely that card. Round 5, I was on the feature match against Shunpeng. Shunpeng, if you guys don't know, UDS and YCS champion. Really, really good. I lost the roll. Game 1, this is kind of a play that I wish I would have thought more about. So he played the quick play Fiendsmith spell so that he's able to go into the Fiendsmith engine. So what he did is he engravered for it or something like that, and I drolled him. He activated the card, and then he went into Requiem, and I thought about what I lost to, because my hand was like Dark Beckoning Beast plus Terraforming, which was good. But when I kept thinking about it, I'm like, I would lose exactly, because of what my hand comp was, there was really no way I could have played around Desiree. So I tried to keep him off Desiree, but then he normal summoned Snake Eye Ash, or Diabellstar, it was 1 to 2, and he was just able to just go off and do anything. And when I kept thinking about that, and I had my Droll Ash in hand, I'm like, if I would have kind of done this in a different way, I could have realistically still won. But as I'm thinking more back to that, I still feel like that Ash was in the right position, and I feel like my hand wasn't doing much through that anyway, because he was still able to set up what he needed. So yeah, I just don't think there was a way I could have won that game regardless. Game 2 was so bad because he TC booed me after I went full combo for full board. I went to SP Little Knight, banished a TC boo, and I went into my engraver line. But since my sequence was still engraved, I didn't put it back with my engraver, I almost threw. I ended up having to do a really cool play where I ended on Yubel, Phantom, and Samsara Lotus. If you guys don't know, Samsara D Lotus has a negate effect on it too. I should have said that in a deck profile. You end on that sometimes when you like are hand trapped to death. And what you could have done with it, excuse me, was that I could have, and I ended on that, and then I used it to trigger one of my Yamas engraved so I can bring back out my dog and then use it as disruption. He ended up scooping after that, but I feel like there was a better way and we didn't have to go that much, because then we went into time. And when we went into time game 3, I got hit with Deception. I didn't know Deception had a time effect on it. He didn't slow play. He didn't do anything wrong. It was basically just he Deception effect. I lost 15. He gained 15. And there was too little time on the clock for me to even push through his board. He went full Snake Eyes board. I didn't see any hand traps or disruption. So there's a good chance I just didn't win that game regardless. Especially since I had double I had double Spirit in my hand or something weird. And there was no non-engine. Which, when I showed you guys my deck profile, how many hand traps I played, is really, really unfortunate I didn't see any. But he played clean. He played really well. I think me losing the die roll there in particular really put me in a bad position, and I don't think there was anything I could have done there. Round 6 was Fire King Snake Eyes again. I won 2-0 because I won the roll. That's basically what I put it on. It's not like really a die roll deck because like I have beat this deck losing the roll anyway. But if you win the roll, you're at such an advantage. I think like Yubel is still a very good call. Game 1, I set up the board through 2 hand traps and won. And then game 2, I broke his whole board with engine. That was the one I said in the deck profile where I saw the engine cards, like the engine requirements, not what I actually needed. And I was able to push through a full board. And I did it. Really, really good. It feels really good. That's when I love Yu-Gi-Oh! The most. Round 7. I lost the roll to Fire King Snake Eyes again. 1-1 though. Game 1, I bricked. So, like, there wasn't even a universe where I won this game. Him and I were talking about it after. He was still able to put up a pretty good board. But the issue we went on to was that game one, my hand was like Terror Incarnate plus like some other random brick, and I couldn't even play. Game two, I comboed. He couldn't do anything. And then game three, I drolled him and it blanked his hand. Droll was just a really, really good card, and I was able to just combo and cook him through everything. There was like a sequencing error I did in this game where I think I went for one first, but it didn't matter because I had Graver. So I was in a very good position. This next round is when I dropped. If I would have won this, and I think the one after, looking at this now, I definitely like should have won 2 more rounds, but it's still in a position where I couldn't do anything. So against 10 Pi round 8, I won the roll. So game 1, I got shifted. He couldn't kill me through shifter. He Chandra attacked into my Kashtira Unicorn and then still tried to keep the Chandra. I'm like, hey, like, you Chandra effect, you grabbed, what was it? He Chandra'd for Pydra. And then used Pydra effect to search and then tried to synchro. I'm like, hey man, I'm not trying to be that guy, but your guy dies. Like, it's damage step. You just don't take damage. He's like, oh. I'm like, oh, okay. Game 2. So I full comboed after that and I won. Game 2, I shifted. And then I got shifted. I special summoned out Unicorn. This game, so this is the one where I look back at it and I feel like I could have won this set. And I've been trying to think on my sequence for a minute, but I just don't know what it was. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I see the sequence. So my hand was like Throne, Circle, Spirit, Kashtira Unicorn, and some other card. So what I did is I special summoned Unicorn, and he went first, and he just set up spheres. That's pretty good because he can't just then he can't bounce, and then I can't use my Bish Shield to banish his spheres, right? I also didn't side in Metaltronus, which is very, very bad. I had a suspicion he was going to go first. Basically, he summoned Drago on me in battle phase, so I wasn't able to run it over. And then he was able to go Chandra into everything. And I keep looking back at this. And if there was a universe where I activated Throne, I grabbed just another rando card, right? I special summon Unicorn. Unicorn effect, grab Birth. I then grab, if I make something, I just need to bait his bounce. If I just bait his bounce in any way, shape, or form, I'm fine. Unicorn beat over Drago, and then we're set. But I didn't do that. I think I also had Nightmare Pain. And if I would have done that and just tried to play the game a little more, I could have won this game and won this set. But I didn't and got Dragoed, and then he normal summoned Chandra the next turn. Or he activated Spell. And I think at this point, I was tired. The event started at 1. It's now like 9, 10 o'clock. But that's not really an excuse. I think there was a universe I could have played through this. But he also had Ash. And what makes this very important is I had Thrust. So I could have Thrust for D-Barrier after. So if he ashed me on any of my field spells, anywhere else, I could have Thrust for D-Barrier and then won this set. But instead, I got Dragoed. He had full combo. And then game 3, he shifted me and I bricked. I activated Planet again to search for Unicorn. And then he hits me with Ash on Planet, and I lost. And when I look at this and I look at my game 2, I've been thinking about how I could have won this the whole time, and I'm very glad I'm able to talk about it here. But it feels really bad getting shifted 3 games in a row. And especially if I wasn't shifted game 2, there was no match, right? Like, this was the cleanest 2-0 of my life. But I could have won this 2-0. And by giving your opponent any, like, wiggle room, especially if they're on a deck, as I don't want to say it's easy, but a deck like Tenpai, where if you just give them any room, they just beat you. I definitely think that's important to look at and something I'm not going to miss in the future. And it's been a while since I've topped a big event. Like, I've gotten like top 8. It's been like 2 years or something like that. But looking at this now means I'm not going to lose to it again, and I'm not going to be put in that position again. And it sucks that I have bubbled enough YCSs. There have been a lot of YCSs I've lost in the last round. But hopefully having this channel and being able to talk about it on here, especially if you guys are still watching this 18-minute long, basically podcast of me talking about how I lost. I appreciate you guys if you watched all the way through. If you guys did, please let me know in the comments. I think it would be really funny if you guys are like, hey, I watched the entire thing. It means a lot to me. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Next time, I'm hoping to win. There are 2 more events coming up in the future. There's a PS5 event next Saturday, hoping to top. There is a OTS championship the next day. This is the first time I haven't had my invite this part of the season for a very long time. So hopefully I'm going to win the OTS event in Pittsburgh. And after that is South Park Regional. And yeah, hopefully we do better than we did today. And that's the best we can ask for. You guys have a great day.